Hello and welcome to EFD, where today we're looking at transfers you never knew about, and in some cases won't even believe. 10. Pep Guardiola to Brescia. With 366 appearances for Barcelona and another 250 as manager, Pep Guardiola played for the club almost as many times as Dani Alves. Guardiola had started out as a right winger until coach Johan Cruyff stopped by an academy match one day. Seeing the future bald fraud excel out wide, he told youth coach Charlie Roch to move him into the middle, and the 17-year-old shone, going on to become the pivot of Cruyff's dream team, which won the European Cup and 6 titles. Pep was at the Camp Nou from 13 until 30, but with his fitness getting worse, he made a late career move to Italy with Brescia. The Little Swallows were looking for a deep playmaker after the departure of their promising young star Andrea Pirlo, and Guardiola joined up with Roberto Baggio and Luca Toni, somehow only finishing 13th. After that came a single season at Roma, but Pep ended up banned for 4 months after he tested positive for the performance-enhancing drug nandrolone. He left for a final payday at Qatari side Al Ahly, turning down offers from Chelsea, Manchester United and the future club Man City to return to Europe. His last performances as a pro came in Mexico, with the Spaniard turning out for Doritos or studying for his coaching licenses. 9 and 8, Stephen Fletcher and Joey Barton to Marseille. Marseille have a strange history of importing talent from the UK. Chris Woyle played in the early 90s, and in 2007 the club signed Tyrone Mears, who had played right back for the worst team in Premier League history the previous year, the Derby side, which got relegated with 11 points and 89 goals conceded. Shopping in the Prem's bargain bin though brought Joey Barton to the Stade Velodrome in 2012. The midfielder had narrowly escaped relegation with QPR the previous season, after their famous 3-2 loss to Man City on the last day of the campaign, and Barton had been sent off. He was handed a 12-match ban for kicking Aguero and nutting Vincent Kompany, and as a result he could only play Europa League football for Marseille until the end of November. Once he returned to the fold, Barton was a virtual ever-present, missing just one of Marseille's remaining 26 league fixtures, unsurprisingly for a red card. He was also given a 2-match suspended ban after calling Thiago Silva an overweight ladyboy on Twitter, ironic given his campaigning for inclusivity in the sport. Though Barton admitted he'd only joined QPR for the money, he went back to London at the end of the year and helped them to promotion, and then to immediate relegation. But his spell in France was successful enough that Marseille took another punt 3 years on. This time, Scottish forward Stephen Fletcher joined them on loan from Sunderland in January 2016, arriving in Marseille with the club sitting 10th. Despite a squad containing Abu Diaby and future stars Michy Batshuayi and Benjamin Mendy, the Olympians were floundering following the departure of Marcelo Bielsa, and would end up finishing 13th. They played out a remarkable 14 1-1 draws, with 5 of those coming in a row, and Fletcher chipped in 2 goals in 12 league appearances. We understand why 6 months in France was more appealing than a relegation battle in Sunderland, and Fletcher was even given a start in the Coupe de France final, as Marseille lost 4-2 to PSG. He now plays for Sheffield Wednesday, while Barton is serving an 18th-month ban for betting on football. 7. Davor Šuker to Arsenal. Striker Davor Šuker first came to international attention in 1987, when he won the FIFA Youth World Cup with Yugoslavia. He hit 6 goals in 6 games, and the core of that side would go on to come third at the 1998 World Cup with Croatia, when Šuker bagged 6 in 7, finishing as the tournament's top goalscorer. In the intervening years, Šuker had enjoyed success with Sevilla and Madrid, taking just 6 seasons to tally 100 goals and winning La Liga and the Champions League. He reached double figures 6 years in a row, and at 31 decided to join Arsenal. With Šuker, Henry and Bergkamp, Arsene Wenger had 3 forwards who had been nominated for the Ballon d'Or, with Kanu as backup, where the Gunners still finished 18 points off of Manchester United. Šuker netted 8 in the Premier League. He spent the next year with West Ham, but by then his decline was advanced, and he scored only 11 goals in the last 3 seasons of his career. However, he ended his time in the national setup with a record of 45 in 69, 0.65 a game, better than Cristiano Ronaldo, Messi and the Brazilian Ronaldo. 6. Socrates to Fiorentina. One of Brazil's greatest midfielders, Socrates earned his nickname the Doctor for his cultured play, and he went on to gain a medical degree after he retired from the sport. However, like many Brazilians, he played little outside his homeland and was underappreciated in Europe, thanks to a misguided stint at Fiorentina in the mid-80s. At his former club Corinthians, Socrates had been a legendary figure. He introduced a policy of Corinthian democracy, which allowed all club staff, including groundsmen and kit washers, to vote on major decisions. But in Italy, he was just another player. La Viola had finished third the season before and thought the new signing, even at 30, could bring them what would be their third Scudetto ever. But Socrates was more interested in living the high life, saying, "Sometimes I don't want to train, but to hang out with friends, party, or have a smoke. There's more to life than football." Having scored 102 goals in 135 games in Brazil, Socrates got just 6 in Serie A that year, and Fiorentina slid down to 9th place. He returned to Brazil after just 12 months. 5. Pelé to New York Cosmos. You could be forgiven for thinking that Pelé was a one-club man. The Brazilian icon spent 18 years with Santos, winning 6 national titles and back-to-back Copa Libertadores in the 1960s. By 1975, the forward had been in a state of semi-retirement for the best part of 2 years and was 35 years old, but that didn't deter New York Cosmos, a club established just half a decade earlier, from making an offer of $6 million a year to take him stateside. Pelé went on to score 64 in 107 games in New York, a better strike rate than he'd managed in Brazilian's top flight at his peak, and began a stampede of aging superstars padding their bank balances in the USA. Eusebio and Bobby Moore arrived shortly after. Johan Cruyff and George Best both signed for the LA Aztecs, and Franz Beckenbauer joined Pelé in the Big Apple, with the pair winning the league in their first year together. When Pelé eventually retired, Santos flew over for an exhibition game against the Cosmos, and Muhammad Ali of all people came along as the guest of honour. Soccer began to take hold in America, and the country had Pelé to thank. Still a fraud though. 4. Christian Panucci to Monaco. Though rarely ranked alongside Cafu or Philipp Lahm, Christian Panucci is one of the greatest right-backs of the modern era. The Italian, who is currently the manager of Albania, won the Champions League twice with Milan and Real Madrid, and played at the top level until he was 37. Panucci was the first Italian to play for Real Madrid, but the club went through 5 managers during his time in the Spanish capital, and at 26, he decided to return to Italy. A single season at Inter saw the defender clash with coach Marcelo Lippi, and a bizarre loan spell to Chelsea somehow also failed. In desperation, Panucci joined Monaco, where he played alongside a 21-year-old Rafa Marquez, John Arisa and Eric Abidal, but featured just 14 times over a year and a half. It looked like Panucci's glory days were over at the age of just 28, but Roma offered him a lifeline, paying just under €10 million for his services. It was money well spent, as the veteran went on to make over 300 appearances for the Giallorossi, with only 12 players wearing the shirt on more occasions. 3. Kyle Lafferty to Palermo. It's rare for a Burnley trainee to travel beyond the British Isles, but Kyle Lafferty, who joined the Clarets at 17, is an unlikely journeyman. The Northern Irish beanpole got his big break at Rangers at 21, winning 3 titles in 4 years and netting 1 in 3 for the Glasgow Giants. But when the club went bankrupt in 2012, players were told that they could leave on a free transfer if they wanted, and Lafferty jumped at the chance. Strangely, he didn't go to the Premier League, or even another Scottish club, but Swiss side Sion, where he played alongside a 35-year-old Gennaro Gattuso. Unfortunately, Sion were an even bigger mess than Rangers, going through 7 managers in a single season, and Lafferty moved on yet again, this time to Sicily, where he joined Palermo, who had been taken over by Gattuso in his first coaching role. Lafferty scored 11 goals in the league to help Palermo win promotion to Serie A, though the presence of Andrea Bellotti and Paolo Dybala in the squad didn't hurt either. But even the Italians quickly tired of their striker, with club president Zamparini calling the player an out-of-control womanizer and an Irishman without rules. The fans' player of the season was quickly sold to Norwich, and he's now back in Scotland with Hearts. 2. Diego Maradona to Sevilla. An icon at 22 and washed up by 32, Diego Maradona's career was one of ups, downs and uppers. After a glittering 7 years at Napoli, where he won 2 Scudetti to add to his World Cup medal, El Diego was given a hefty 15-month ban for cocaine use, leaving a club he had rebuilt to sit on the sidelines. Maradona refused to return to the Stadio San Paolo, and Real Madrid courted him, as did Marseille, while the superstar turned down Boca Juniors after they offered lower wages. But Real eventually signed Zamorano from Sevilla, and Maradona headed to the south coast to replace him. Davor Šuker was up front, Diego Simeone midfield, and the Andalusian's goalkeeper was future director of football Monchi, but Maradona did not prove the game changer they anticipated. His form was often brilliant, charming the fans and helping Sevilla to a memorable 2-0 humbling of Los Blancos, when the Argentinian humiliated Fernando Hierro. But off the field, Maradona was a menace, his party lifestyle prompting the club president to have him tailed by a private detective. After less than a year, it was clear that Diego would never love the club the way he loved his country, and he went back to Argentina, once again letting his failings as a man overshadowed his gifts as a player. 1. Ronnie O'Brien to Juventus. Hardly a household name, Ronnie O'Brien became just the second Irishman to play in Italy in 1999. Then just 20, O'Brien had been released by Middlesbrough after failing to make a single appearance for the Smoggies, but unexpectedly he was snapped up by Juventus. The move made no sense whatsoever. O'Brien had just been left out of the Irish Under-20 World Cup squad, and the Bianconeri boasted the talents of Edgar Davids, Antonio Conte and Zinedine Zidane in midfield. Juve were confident in their choice though, handing O'Brien a 5-year contract, and his new fame brought other benefits. In the run-up to the year 2000, Time magazine were running a poll to determine the person of the century, with the leading candidates including Gandhi and Martin Luther King. Thanks to dedicated campaigning from Borough fans, O'Brien picked up 57,000 votes and looked set to win until Time disqualified him for being too whimsical, handing their prize to Albert Einstein. Perhaps that's what threw O'Brien's career off the rails. The midfielder made just 3 appearances for Juve in the Intertoto Cup, and ended up switching to the MLS, where he twice made their Team of the Year with FC Dallas. He retired in 2008 and remains the strangest signing in the history of the old lady. So those were our 10 transfers that you didn't know happened. What do you think of them, and have we missed any out, like George Weah going to Manchester City? Let me know in the comments below. And if you've enjoyed this, why not check out the video on screen now, either Football Mundial, Stat Wars, or another 10. Click it. And as always guys, don't forget to like and subscribe.